Hi friends. Some seniors with dementia tend to wander, often trying to find their way back to some place in their past. This puts them at much greater risk than other patients, and they require greater care. Mix that concern with living in a cold climate, and the worst can happen very quickly. Let me share the details, because elder abuse matters. This email was sent by a victim's friend. Dear Lolli, I write to you in an effort to deal with my grief from the tragic loss of a wonderful friend. Edward was 85 years old, and he and his wife, Cassie, are very close friends. I first met them 15 years ago at a community event in our small town, and they were amazing examples of how to be generous to others with their time. A few years later, when they were downsizing, I offered for them to live with me for a couple of months, and it was so much fun that they stayed for 6 years. About 2 years ago, Cassie had a stroke, and Edward couldn't properly care for her, so they moved into our local seniors' residence. And then just 1 year ago, Edward was moved from our long-term care home as his dementia was bad and he'd started to wander. I visited them every couple of weeks as they are like parents to me. I am also the power of attorney for their care as their 2 children live in other states. In late November, I got a call from the long-term care home just after lunchtime asking me if I had Edward with me. I told them no. I've since learned that 20 minutes later they called the police and reported Edward missing. Before the police arrived, the home staff found Edward outside near the building, alive and lying in the snow. It was a frigid day in the northern state that we live in, about 10 degrees, but with the wind chill, it felt like minus 10 degrees. Edward was only wearing sweatpants and a sweater over a shirt, and no shoes. They suspected that he had been outside for about an hour. Edward was taken to our local hospital for treatment. When I came into the hospital room, I wasn't prepared for the extent of his injuries. I saw his left foot sticking up at the edge of the bed, and it was completely black. I hugged him and I said I was so glad that he was alive, and he smiled. I stayed with him overnight, and in the morning, when the nurses came in to check on vital signs, I went out to get a coffee and to run a few errands. When I came back 2 hours later, Edward's condition had worsened. All I could do was hold his hand and be there for him, as I would want somebody to be there for me. He began coughing and spitting up blood, and he died shortly after, before his kids arrived. The state has opened an investigation, as has the long-term care home. Edward had been placed there because he was assessed as no longer able to be cared for in an assisted living home due to his complex and unpredictable medical needs. They knew he was a high risk to wander, and they even had him wear a wander management bracelet that was to activate an alarm should he try to leave the building. He should have been safe there, but for some still unexplained reason, he got outside undetected. Instead of watching him 24/7, they failed him miserably. I want the home to be held accountable for Edward's death, and I want them to ensure that no other resident and their family will have to experience a similar tragedy. Well, friends, that is a tragic story for all involved. While I'm certain that no one wanted Edward to get outside, it's imperative that the home get to the bottom of how it happened to ensure it never can happen again. What if this happened to your loved one? Would you bring legal action against the home? Would you consider this murder? Let us know what you think in the comments below. And let's hope that seniors that wander can be better watched over, because elder abuse matters. Friends, our goal here is to share abuse cases so that you know that you're not alone if you too are suffering from elder abuse. We hope that it's therapeutic to hear stories, and while we're not counselors or therapists, we do think it could be helpful for you to anonymously share your own story of abuse on this channel and help others. Just check the show notes below to find out how. And finally, please like, share, and subscribe now to grow the channel so that together we can reduce the abuse, because elder abuse matters. Please stay safe, seek help, and know that I am praying for you.